Hello friends, welcome to A Shot of Code. Today we're going to be looking at making your app work offline with the Workbox package. Workbox gives us a nice wrapper around Serviceworker. Writing your own Serviceworker is pretty tricky and prone to getting you into trouble. So yeah, Workbox gives us much more safer feeling that we're not going to brick a website and it's never going to get updated again. So yeah, there's a Workbox plugin for Webpack, so I'm going to use those two together and just show an example of how they work. So let's jump in. Right, first thing is just create a source folder here, and we'll have template.html. I will use the HTML Webpack plugin as well, just because that works quite well with Workbox in that it can pick up not only your bundle but also your main HTML page out of the box. So let's just create a very basic page there. HTML plugin will inject our bundle into that, so I don't need to add any scripts to it. I'll have an entry point here just so we can see our bundle coming down. This was written by the Webpack bundle, like that. And then let's add in our Webpack config.js. Top level. Okay, so module.export, and so our entry is in source and index.js, and our output is going to be, we're going to have file name, so we'll just call it main.js to come out. So we'll put it into the dist folder. So the path, put it into dist, and then I'll use the Webpack dev server, and it likes to know about that path. So we'll just let it know that we're in dist. Okay, now the plugins. We have got HTML plugin, so we're going to set that one up there. I'll fill in the options in a minute, and we'll have the Workbox plugin. Again, I'll add that in. So let's come up top here and pull in path. That, and the HTML plugin, like so, and then also our Workbox plugin. Like that. Now on the Workbox, both of these need a new actually, new Workbox, we need to say generate Serviceworker. Now this one is all generated for us. We don't have to do anything with this generate Serviceworker option. I'll try and show the more customizable version as well, but for now let's just do generate Serviceworker. So let's put some of these options in. The HTML, we have got our template in there, template.html, and we'll output to index.html. For our Serviceworker, we can say what the generated Serviceworker file will be called. So we'll have it serviceworker.js, and we can also set up a couple of flags that make it just a little bit easier to work with. Skip waiting and claims client, like that. I'll talk about those in a second. I'll just add these in. So yarn, add path, Webpack, HTML, Webpack, plugin, and Workbox, which is the important one. Pack, plugin. So we add all of those. Yeah, going back to these. So skip waiting and claims client. These allow a new service worker. Once you update a service worker, it will get pulled down to the client, but it won't always get activated straight away. Certainly, if you've got 2 tabs of your application open, it won't activate until you close off the other one. So you can get into a state where it's not refreshing. You're thinking, why is it not refreshing? So these just help us to get the latest service worker easier, because it's very easy to end up in a position where you don't know why it's not refreshing, and this makes things a bit easier to reason about. Okay, now they're all in. So let's just add a little bit of text in here. This is my offline demo. Okay, so we'll give that a build. Actually, what I want is just to say that this is always development. I think. What was our error here? Claims client claims. Maybe it's client claims. No, I never quite remember this one. Clients claim. Yes, clients claim. All right, and if we look in our dist folder, we've got our generated index HTML with, let me just put this back full screen, with our injected bundle. We've got our bundle, which will just do document.write. We should be able to see that down here. Oh, I haven't actually done that correct. Document.write. Okay, and then we've got a pre-cache manifest, which Workbox has generated for us. And as you can see, that new one pop in there. Every time we do a build and something's changed, we'll get a new manifest with these new revision numbers. This is all aimed to make sure that you can't brick your site and make it non-updatable. So you'll know there's a newer version based on these revisions. So we've got our index HTML here pre-cached and our main.js. So this pre-cache is literally pulled into our service worker file here. So you can see it imported there, and that's the Workbox functionality there. There's our 2 flags, and here is us doing our pre-caching. So pre-caching will ensure that our files are pulled down to the client before we register our service worker, and they'll be set up to be accessed using what's called cache first. So there's a few kind of recipes, I think they're called, for Workbox on how you can access the files. So there's things like cache first, cache only, stale with revalidate, and network first. So we'll try and describe those a little bit later, but just to know that they are there, and by default it's using this cache first one. Right, let's see what we can bring up here. Webpack server. So at the moment I've got everything in place, but I haven't actually registered a service worker. So we we should see that offline isn't working at the moment. Right, I'm just going to go in here and make sure I've got a clean slate, like so. Console and clean that, and then if we head to localhost and into dist. Okay, so there's our text. This is my offline demo and the Webpack bundle writing there. Okay, that looks good, and we shouldn't see, if we come into the DevTools and application and Serviceworker, we can see we haven't got a Serviceworker at the moment, and there's nothing in cache storage, and that's the two places where things will be added by Workbox. So if I went to network at the moment and I said okay, offline, and then hit refresh, as we'd expect, we'd see Mr. Dinosaur there. So let's now try and enable Serviceworker. So I can do that with a script in here. First of all, we check, does the browser support Serviceworker? So if Serviceworker in Navigator, and then if it is, we can simply say navigator.serviceworker.register, and we can say in dist we have a file serviceworker.js. We can save that off. So Webpack Dev Server, I think, is running there. That should push that down for us. We need to take the offline away. I'm just trying to get a bit more space here. Going to console. Okay, so it's compiled. Let's give it a run, see what happens. So we're back in. Okay, now Workbox gives us some nice little information here in the console. Welcome to Workbox, and then just some links to information, and then pre-caching two files. So that's going to be our main.js and our index.html. So there they are, and the versions of those. All right, so we're pre-cached. We can go into application now and look at service workers, and we should see, yep, there's our service worker. It's activated. We've got a client connected, and if I go into cache, I'll see our two files cached away in here, and there's the actual data of them down below as well. So let's now go to network and click the offline button and refresh, and no dinosaur. So this is something you wouldn't be able to do without Serviceworker. You know, you can cache using the standard caching, but you can't cache that top level page. You know, you can cache your JavaScript, your CS and everything, but you can't cache that top level page. Not in a way that you'll be able to get updates. You know, you could say max age a year on that page, but you know, you're never going to get a new update. Whereas with this, yeah, you can cache it, work offline, and pull down new information as soon as you're back online. So yeah, that is how we use Workbox with Webpack. Now, I won't do it in this video, but in the next one, I'll show you how we can then customize this. So we can go through some of those recipes. So rather than just looking at the cache first, you know, you can use things like the stale with revalidate, which will look in the cache. So you get offline and you get the speed. But then also in the background, it will go to the network and pull down the latest file, and it, you know, allows you to add other things into your service worker for that, for push notifications and just generally customizing it a lot more as you need. You know, this one, if you had a whole load of images, it's going to pull the whole thing and pre-cache it. So that's one big download at the start. You know, if you're code splitting, and you've got various resources for different routes, then you're going to want to mimic that with your service worker. But yeah, for now, hope that was interesting. Thanks very much.